They're ripping this letter or whatever it was to shreds while they're fighting each other. And I was probably about 6, 7 years old, and I was scared to death because I always knew him as somebody friendly, smiley, happy. Assalamu alaikum, peace. It's Fatimah, Coach Fatimah for Outstanding Muslim Parents. In this video, I wanted to address something that is very important, as I do in most of the videos. They're all important topics. This one is some things that your children should not witness. As far as you and your spouse go, remember your children love you and they love their father, and maybe you're a bonus mom, maybe you're the biological mom, maybe you're a bonus dad or biological dad. There's some things that children should not witness, even if they are grown-ups. I have 4 daughters that are over the age of 18 and a bonus baby that is 16. Now, there are some things that are just some of the past traumas that I've had kind of helped me with this list. So one of the major things is arguing. For children and young adults to witness their parents arguing in front of them creates trauma, and the magnitude of that trauma is different between each child, because there might be a young child that's scared and doesn't know what's going on, or there might be a child that, I say child because they're my children, but there might be a child that's an adult and that's scary to them too, because they know the consequences of the arguing. That's very traumatic. I still remember a neighbor that my grandmother had, and I grew up with this man next door. His aunt and his mother were sisters, and they lived in the house next door to us, and it was a duplex. And he'd come by and visit, and one day one of his girlfriends comes by. They have a tussle over a piece of mail on the front porch, and they're ripping this letter or whatever it was to shreds while they're fighting each other. And I was probably about 6, 7 years old, and I was scared to death because I always knew him as somebody friendly, smiley, happy. That was my neighbor's son. He was probably 20 years older than me, something like that. But to see him fight and to see him angry and to see him yell and scream, these were not my parents. And I was still petrified and I couldn't move. I just froze. And my grandmother, she... being the stern, southern, proud woman that she was, she said, over there acting a fool, because I told her what happened. And I didn't really know what she meant, but I knew it wasn't a good thing based off of her body language and her tone of voice. But to witness parents do that, you can imagine what it does to a child. It can just fragment them mentally. They don't know what's happening sometime when they're younger, and then when they're older, they know full well what's going on, and they're scared. Not just the same, but when they love you and they see 2 people that they love that raise them that are their parents, it's very traumatizing. Another thing is possible name calling. Sometimes when you call name, I don't care if you're just saying you're stupid, you're an idiot. And maybe if it gets worse than that, it's hard to come back around to your children and explain away why you were calling each other names. That's not easy to do. So the easiest thing to do is walk away before it gets to that point and try to de-escalate the situation. They will remember if you try to de-escalate the situation, if you apologize, if you said, look, that wasn't my best self, I'm sorry. Even if you apologize to them and say, you all shouldn't have heard that. I'm sorry that we lost control. It won't happen again. Ask them if they have any questions that maybe you can answer and validate their feelings. If they say, you scared us, you say, I know we scared you, and we apologize for that. We weren't our best selves. Accountability wins every time. I don't care how big, how small. People love accountability because then that means you're willing to do this work of being better the next time. Backbiting your spouse to your children, in front of your children, around your children, within an earshot of your child, which means they're close enough to hear, and maybe you don't even know they're listening in the other room. Even if you're on the phone with a friend, even if you're in front of them and it's completely deliberate, you got to check yourself on those things. Because remember, when you're mad, they're still loving their father or their mother the whole time, and they hear you saying something negative about them. You have to be very careful. And if you do it, you have to apologize and make sure it doesn't happen again. It's not just keep apologizing for this stuff and then keep repeating it. It's like repeat offending. That's exactly what it is. Another one is, and I've seen this play out in my own community, is there's a set of rules when dad's around, but then as soon as dad leaves, the rules change. Typically, I say dad because the dad is the imam of the house and he's in a leadership position, and children tend to look at him as the leader because he's the husband, the father, the provider, possible breadwinner, the protector, okay? So because of that, he's held in a higher regard, you know? So if he's not, you know, so I gotta say this, some people can be tyrants with it, with their leadership, and some people can lead with grace and honor and firmness, but they're not just cracking the whip on the family, but they're still seen as leaders. You don't have to yell and scream and hoop and holler and cuss and fuss to be a leader. Really effective leaders don't necessarily practice those things, because once people can get from around them, they'll do that, you know. And that doesn't mean we as parents don't raise our voice and we're not stern, because sometimes you have to be stern and firm and consistent. But when children see the parents kind of losing their way or losing control, that's traumatizing and scary as well. So I had to just say that if your child sees you backbiting your spouse, if your child sees you diminishing the character of their parent, you know, it's going to cause some damage. It can cause long-term damage. You know, you can joke around about their character too much, and that can be damaging to a child or to an adult, you know. Sometimes with with Coach Nadir, he's direct. He's an INTJ. I celebrate the difference. I celebrate the fact that he is, because it helped me learn and understand who he is as a parent. He likes to get to the bottom of what is going on, not for the sport of it, but to get to the solution. INTJs want you to get to what the issue is, what the problem is, so they can help. Not so they can just hear it for decoration. They want to help. They want to find a solution. And I thought I was being rude by going around the bend and back again. I'm like, oh, I got to tell him this way, and I got to kind of prep him, and I got to story time. No, no. Because I thought if I didn't do that in terms of our children, I was being rude. No. I couldn't be wrong or farther from the truth. He wanted me to be direct. So now I just go, there's something going on. Here's what it is. I don't know what to tell you. That's all information I have. And then he can start figuring out a solution, or we can figure out one together. So that's been more effective. It doesn't waste as much time. I love it. But I had to learn more about his personality type to understand that he wants you to get there. And just because you get there with him doesn't mean he thinks that you're being rude. He thinks you're being effective and efficient, which is great. And like I said, I celebrate the difference. But with him, he'll say these zingers, these one-liners, and the girls remember them. They remember when Abu said da-da-da-da-da, and they fall out cracking up laughing. And I'm like, honey, he was serious when he was saying it. But it's funny because it's those things that dads can say, and they love it. So I go, I love your dad. I'll say something like that, I love your dad, and I do. They know that. Because only he could say a phrase like that, sit that thing down, mic drop, and walk off. That's how he is. And that's good. But to say, so if they give a zinger that he said or a phrase that he said, your father's so stupid, he's such an idiot. Now, it would hurt them or hit them differently if I said that. I wouldn't be making him look bad, I'd be making myself look bad. So the backbiting of the parent and the diminishing of the character of your spouse or the other parent or the co-parent matters to our children. It matters to who we are, and it says a lot about us if that's what we're practicing. And it says a lot about them if that's what they're practicing. That's difficult to come back from. So, with the rules, the changing of rules, if he goes and he's out of town for a long time, a few years back, he went to Malaysia and he stayed for about 10 days. Our rules didn't change in our house. They were the same. Because we are in the same book, on the same page when it comes to parenting. And I'll repeat this over and over again. That matters to us, that matters to our children, and it matters to the consistency of the parenting. Because if you're the celebrity, if your husband is a celebrity, and the wife is a celebrity, and you change the rules up any chance you get, or when the other celebrities left the building, it says something about you. It says that you are faking it till you make it, or you're not authentic with who you say you are. Oh yeah, we're a team as long as he's in front of me. But as soon as he leaves, we're no longer a team. That's a problem. That's a problem. It's especially a problem if you're married and you love each other. That's huge, because then it starts to seep into the marriage. Because if you're not respectful of your spouse, you're respectful to your spouse in their face, but as soon as they turn their back, it's just this, you're completely disrespectful and diminishing their character to their children, your children that you share together, your bonus babies that you may share. That matters, and it can really break the marriage down. So it's very important to make sure that we control what we say, what we do, how we act. How authentic are we? Are we showing up as our true self and being consistent in front of our children? Because they shouldn't witness those things. If you're having trouble respecting one another, if you're having trouble with arguments, you just sit down and have the hard conversations without the presence of your children, because your marriage, and their business in it has its limitations. I remember my daughter was telling, our daughter, our second oldest, was telling some roommates she had some years ago. She was off studying and she had roommates, and they were complimenting her on your parents, they're kind of close to each other. They kind of walk close to each other. They're kind of hanging out together. And she looked at them and she said, my parents actually like each other. She was just like, they like hanging out together. And these girls were like, oh, really? It was kind of sad. And then it was kind of, it felt good to get that compliment, or that we weren't doing anything special, but to them we were, see? So it was those things that were intentionally unintentional, and we got a compliment, and our daughter was like, what do you mean? They like each other. They like hanging out together. That felt good. So she called me up and told me that, and I told her dad that the same. And I was like, wow, what is going on in our community if all this is 4 other girls. There was 5 girls in this apartment, and she had 4 roommates. So to hear them collectively, to hear that they said collectively, wow, like that's incredible. And these are Muslim girls. Everybody's Muslim in this place. That made me feel good. I'm like, we're doing something cute and right, and the children are, these are grown women, are benefiting from it. That felt good. But when you do something consistently, you don't even realize that you're doing it anymore. So alhamdulillah, that felt awesome. So those are just the things I wanted to share. Just keep in mind, don't diminish each other's character, not changing the rules in front of each other, not behind each other's back and backbiting one another, and just being really consistent with one another. And make sure not to have those arguments in front of children or where they can hear them. Let's have those hard conversations with our indoor voices and remember that although we don't see them, they could be listening, they could hear us, and they can feel that energy. So with that, I hope you guys got some gems. Once again, I'm Coach Fatimah for Outstanding Muslim Parents, and I will see you all in the next one. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum, peace.
Assalamu alaikum, peace. I'm Coach Nadir.
And I'm Coach Fatimah.
And I'm Coach Nyla.
And we are the founders of Outstanding Muslim Parents. I want to introduce you to something that you may be interested in because you seem like a proactive parent already just by the video we interrupted. All right. And that's called the OMP Inner Circle. That's where we all train deep dive into parenting. So whether that's the first stage of children up to 7 years old or 8 to preteen in the second stage, or of course the teenagers and young adults in the third stage, we deep dive with the 3 C's as well as the 3 E's. So what our members get every single month, all of our students, they get brand new training every single week. That includes downloadable audios, downloadable worksheets, so you can deep dive into it. And of course, you have our personal email addresses as well. However, every single month, we have a live Q&A for all of our students. So we go to answer the questions or deal with different challenges and things that they may be dealing with parenting, because we know it's an ongoing struggle. Just us, here being the parents of 12 children.
Right.
Okay. So with that being said, I want to congratulate you on being proactive.
And make sure you click the link below in the description and we'll let you get back to the video. Assalamu alaikum.
Peace.
Peace.